Secretary of State Antony Blinken has sent a top official on Israel and Palestinian affairs to the region, who is expected to meet with leaders from both sides in the coming days. Here's what Secretary Blinken said about the situation that's unfolding.
I've been very clear that rocket attacks must cease. We've been very clear about Israel's right to defend itself. Israelis and Palestinians deserve equal measures of freedom, security, dignity, and prosperity. That recognition will continue to drive our approach.
For more, let's bring in CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis. Hi there, Olivia. So before the attacks over the past week, there had not been this level of violence in the region since the 2014 Gaza war. What led to this rapid escalation?
So, Elaine, I'm sure you know that there are decades worth of thorny dynamics at play here, but tensions really started intensifying earlier this week when Israeli police forces began blocking access for Palestinian groups during Ramadan to a religious site in Jerusalem that's considered holy by both Muslims and Jews. And there were further flare-ups ahead of this expected decision by the Israeli Supreme Court on whether to allow the eviction of several Palestinian families from their homes in East Jerusalem. That decision was put temporarily on hold, but those were two sort of immediate triggers that have led to these rocket attacks by Hamas and intense violence in the streets. Of course, frustration has long been bubbling up among Palestinians who believe that Israel is pushing them out of their homes and neighborhoods in Jerusalem. Young Palestinians in particular have openly aired grievances about the political status quo. So this is Hamas capitalizing on that discontent. There are political elements driving the Israeli response, but it is very striking that in just these few days, we've gone from street skirmishes to thousands of rockets launched and the specter of a full-blown war.
Olivia, as you pointed out, I mean, there is a long and painful history in this part of the world. Did the Biden administration have any plans to be actively involved in Middle East peace negotiations?
I think you heard that the Biden administration has mainly been consistently focused on issues here, right? On the pandemic recovery, on the economic recovery, on climate, on infrastructure. To the extent it's looked overseas, it's to sort of confront this increasing challenge from China, on stepping back from U.S. military engagement in Afghanistan, and, oh, by the way, trying to rebroker a nuclear deal with Iran. So I don't think that this was necessarily number one on top of their agenda. The administration has been pushing back on that, saying, you know, that the administration has had high-level conversations, both the president and the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor have reached out to their counterparts. The Secretary of State said just a few moments ago that everybody's engaging with urgency to see that calm prevails. So again, was it number one on the list of things for the Biden administration to do? No, but it's hard to see that if violence continues to escalate, the administration doesn't find a way to get itself more involved.
Well, some Democratic lawmakers are calling for more support for the Palestinians, and in contrast, many Republicans want the Biden administration to publicly condemn Hamas. What line is President Biden trying to walk here?
You know, it's unclear how tenable that line that he's walking is. It's true that he's being pressured to take a stance or pick a side by a multitude of stakeholders on this issue, and that adherence to a middle line seems unsatisfactory to all of them. The Israelis are frustrated by several things, including the fact that the administration hasn't named an ambassador to Israel, the fact that it hasn't used stronger language to condemn the violence coming from Hamas, and in fact that overall engagement with Israel has been much leaner, if you will, as compared, obviously, to previous administrations and the Trump administration in particular, which was very overtly pro-Israel. The Palestinians have voiced some frustrations, too, mainly that the U.S. has been appearing for a time to be standing in the way of action by the UN Security Council. The American position there is that de-escalation is the top priority, and it's unclear how UN involvement would help that along at this stage. I don't think anybody expects that the president or the administration is going to come down hard in favor of one or the other side at this particular moment, but it probably is going to have to articulate a bit more forcefully not only where it stands, but how it hopes to resolve tensions in the immediate term and in the longer term, because these are not going away.
Olivia, complicating matters. Last week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu failed to form a government for the third time in 2 years. Additionally, the Palestinian Authority postponed its elections this month. How are those factors impacting this situation?
There's no doubt that domestic politics are very much at play here, too. As we talked about, young Palestinians are outwardly wondering what their prospects are for the future and whether a two-state solution is part of it. A show of force like this is very much what something like Hamas is looking for at the moment. And yes, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been embattled for years, still facing corruption charges. And even though politics sometimes quiets down when civilian lives are at stake, it doesn't seem to be the case this time around. His political opponents are placing a lot of blame on Netanyahu, saying that this is the very reason that he needs to go and no longer remain in power. So in many ways, and not to be glib, it is clear that both sides have this sense of never waste a good crisis and are capitalizing on some of the violence that's taking place.
Well, Olivia, during a meeting with the Australian Foreign Minister Thursday, Secretary Blinken was asked about how the situation in Israel could affect the United Nations Security Council meeting. What did he say?
So he said that the U.S. is now looking toward next week for a Security Council meeting, and he said that timing is so that some diplomacy maybe takes place, takes effect, makes some inroads. He, of course, has had a flurry of conversations with his counterparts in Israel, with Palestinian counterparts. We understand the U.S. has also been working with the Egyptians in an effort to broker some sort of interim deal. For their part, the Israelis have said that they're not ready for a ceasefire until Gaza is quiet and until Hamas has paid a price. So it's unclear whether diplomatic breakthroughs are on the immediate horizon, but we do know that these discussions are very much ongoing.
All right, Olivia Gazis for us. Olivia, thank you very much.